Hey everyone, this is Damon. I am back with Mike Bloxam and
Howdy.
Brian Greene from the Alice Place dance site.
Hello.
We are talking about Quantum Leap. Hey Brian, we are talking about Quantum Leap, Season 1, Episode 15, Ben's Song for the Defense. When Ben leaps into a harried public defender, he must keep an innocent teenager accused of murder out of prison for life. In an unexpected turn of events, Jenn puts her legal expertise to the test as she steps in as the hologram on this complicated leap. Again, that's why I didn't say it last week, because I didn't want to give that away. Ben has leaped into a female defense attorney, Leda Ramirez, and the leap date is sometime in 1985. Sometime.
Debatable.
So what did you think, Brian? What did you initially think? Because you found...
Okay. Yeah, I looked up the horse race that he mentioned, and when they're the betting, and it came up as June 8th, 1985. So there really was a horse race there, and he says Belmont. So when I did a search for it, it come up as June 8th. There was a Belmont race that they do apparently every year there. That was a real thing. Now, the Fates Wide Wheel folks, they suggested that it could be from the AIDS conference in Atlanta that the bikers trying to get to, which was April 14th through the 17th. So it could be then as well.
Yeah, because he does specifically say that the charity ride for AIDS starts at that conference in Atlanta, which actually was the first conference was April 15th to 17th. I think that was it. So they estimated that it really has to be like early April. So I don't know. We're going off on a little tangent already, but this is why dates are important in a time travel show.
Yes.
Now, this show has played with dates so very much. It's very vague sometimes. Sometimes they just make up their own history as it goes. So you just never know. But somewhere in there, spring, early summer, somewhere in there. Yeah.
I guess it's before July 13th, 1985, the first episode. Because this is 1985 again.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's not the first time. Last week was 1989. We also had 1989. So,
well, I did a tally, and you mentioned it's already the second episode in 1985, but it's the fifth episode in the 80s. Yeah. Out of 15 episodes, so a full 1/3 of the series so far has been set in the 80s, which I don't mind. But
Well, anyway, so we got off on a tangent. Queens, New York. I am a Queens native. I live in Florida now, but I used to live in Queens. They said Queens, New York. Where in Queens? I have no idea. Queens is a big place. Queens is one of 5 boroughs in New York City, and Queens has a lot of different neighborhoods. So if it's the main courthouse, the criminal courthouse, I think I know where it was supposed to be. So again, it's just I mean, if you're not from New York, I guess you wouldn't necessarily know. Like you just whatever. So anyway, what do you think? What were your first impressions, Mike? I guess you want to... Yeah.
Oh, well, I liked it. It had that classic Quantum Leap vibe once again, I felt. And we've had that a few episodes in a row now where they've really hit the pacing well with keeping you involved in the leap, getting you really drawn into the characters and the leapee. Just a little sprinkling of stuff at the project, which is good. And I really did actually enjoy the Jenn as the hologram. It gave me kind of shades of Killing Time where she took over for Al.
Yeah.
Not as many technical glitches, obviously, except that they couldn't handle 2 people in the imaging chamber at the same time, which was interesting.
You're right. And I did notice that, but Ian was in the imaging chamber with Addison, and we didn't get that glitch.
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's an inconsistency or what. I don't know. So what are your thoughts, Brian, on the episode?
Basically the same. It was a great story. I even like the side stories with the the guy that got locked out of the apartment naked. That was funny at the beginning, and and the biker guy that had a little story of heart behind it. And once you got to know what actually happened with him, but the mystery of the, who killed who there, that was great. I really liked that part.
Mm-hmm.
So overall the story, and like you said, the sprinkling of the project stuff was good too. An interesting thing was there was no saga cell on the beginning of the episode. It just went right into it. So that was different.
Yeah.
And talking about technical stuff, there were 9 hologram effects in this episode, which could be more than any episode in the original series. I'm not sure about that, but there were a lot. Mm-hmm. So compared to the one we were getting before, maybe. So that was kind of
right.
I don't know what the difference there was, but I liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We mentioned how it just felt like the original show, like kind of like last week, like everything going on in present day pretty much was relative to the leap. We didn't get any of that real mystery box thing other than the mention of Martinez at the beginning.
Right. And I did like that swear jar effect they had for Leaper X.
The dollar. Yeah.
That I laughed every time.
Like, no, I didn't. No, I said Leaper X? No. It's like, yeah, now you said it twice. It's like,
yeah.
Put the wallet upstairs. Ian get the money. Here, give it to Jen. And then even later on, I think when because they realized he remembered, he finally remembered magic, and they laid the bet there too. Like, it's like we didn't think you, or was it that they bet that Jen couldn't cry or something? Was that it? Or
I think
there was one of each,
Addison. It looks like she bet that Jen was going to cry when the leap is over. She won that bet. That was a nice touch too. I liked how they closed that off. That was nice.
I wasn't expecting a lot of these like humorous moments in this. It was like pretty. I mean, Jen was really funny. She was just trying to tell Ben that whole story about the bunnies.
With the bunnies, yes.
And then whatever it was her delivery, and Ben is looking at her like, what? Like, I don't get it. And it was just, and then like, what other funny moment was Amato was cracking up laughing when Stuart had to give him the ride on the bike. He's riding on the back. It was just something just so funny about it was, and then he's giving him the ride, and then he finds the gun. He's like, does it feel like a gun in that bag? I'm like, yeah. Am I supposed to? Is this a bad thing? Like, no, that's good. And he was like awkward walking around in a skirt and heels. Like,
that was funny.
It didn't focus on it
going
too
the
much.
wrong way. Yeah.
What was that?
He kept going the wrong way, and then you'd have to, tiptoe it back through there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they didn't focus on it too much, but I'm glad we finally got some awkwardness there. That was like just enough.
Right.
And Magic kept saying his head hurts every time he was thinking about. He said that a few times, right? When he was like thinking about Martinez and all this stuff. I do appreciate that Addison was the one that basically made that suggestion right at the beginning. She said, for Jen to be the hologram.
Jen has a law degree that she earned in prison. So that was, and it was a little humor there too.
Yeah, and oh yeah, because she said I'm not good with positive reinforcement or something like that.
Yeah.
She said she'd probably end up in trouble again, so that's why she did it.
Yeah, she earned her law degree. Basically, she studied law while she was in prison for being a hacker, which I've found that out before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I I don't know. Do you guys think that they did this too early with Jenn as the hologram? Because now they opened up like this whole. It's like almost like they opened up Pandora's box now. It's like, well, anybody can go in the imaging chamber. So it's like, why
that seems to be a feature of this iteration of the project is you don't need to synchronize neurons and mesons in order for someone to see and hear the hologram. Because as we mentioned Killing Time already in the original series, previous episode, I guess Shock Theater was when Verbena Beeks came in, but she could only see him, and Sam could only see her. There was no audio. So this new project is obviously quite more technologically advanced, including, and I think we've seen this before, Addison was watching the leap on a screen when Ben was in the courtroom there. Like kind of, I'm just trying to figure out where the cameras are in the imaging chamber to know where to be positioned to be focused on Ben's face at all times. Or was Jenn in there with the hand like specifically pointing it at him? I'd like to know a little bit more about that piece of technology too.
That is a good point. That it's just like, how are we seeing the screen? How is it? Yeah, that is a. Yeah, it's like you can't think about it too much because it'll just make your head hurt.
Yeah, the producers thought we couldn't wrap our heads around the waiting room for some reason, but this, yeah.
Well, but what I meant by also just because like anybody can go in the imaging chamber, because this is another point that I've heard brought up is Addison was like even Magic said that she has been in that chamber for weeks, which I don't know if it's weeks or months.
24/7 for weeks is what he said.
She's been there tiring herself out to exhaustion. Why couldn't somebody take over for her? Like if it was just so simple for anybody to go in there, why are you putting her through? I mean, it's because she doesn't want to leave because I guess this is my fiance. I love him and I miss him. I guess. I don't know. That's kind of where I was going with that was why can't somebody else take over sometimes?
Well, as we know, she was supposed to be the leaper and Ben was supposed to be the observer. So I don't know. Maybe she feels compelled, like you said, to take on that role since she had been training. Right.
Yeah, perhaps.
No, I mean Jenn certainly did a fine job. But yeah, you make a good point. Why couldn't they switch off for each other? And one thing I'm not sure about is Ben continuously leaping with no breaks in between, and that's why Addison's been in there 24/7 for weeks? Or are there breaks between, like we know there were breaks for Sam, so is Ben getting a break though?
I feel like it's probably the same. Like they do kind of show that like he leaps and it's not instantaneous, so there is a break. I mean, I don't think there was
I went and watched the TV show, and they all came over to Addison's apartment. That was early in the season.
Yeah, right.
So there's got to be
some
sort of break there.
Yeah. I mean, I think for Ben it is. Yeah. I think for Ben it is still like even with Sam, it was instantaneous. He doesn't he doesn't experience that wherever he's going when he's leaping through time. He's just jumping back and forth.
But as we know in Genesis, it was a whole week before they could find him, as they said.
And it doesn't seem to be that long. It seems to be like a day or something passes.
Yeah.
So the whole time frame is getting a bit wonky with this show because it's has it only been a few weeks? Like we're in September of 2022. Like how is this like a lost situation where we're going to be like really like stuck back here?
No, actually, I can't remember which episode now, but they did specifically say it was 2023.
Yes.
They had switched over to the new year. So, yeah, they're not still in 2022. But it just feels like the way they're talking at the project is if everything has happened within the last month.
Right.
But really, it's been spread out.
That's why I said it's wonky. I feel like I haven't thought this through completely, but yeah, I don't know. So getting back to, I will say it had this episode had a similar feel to Paging Dr. Song with all of the multiple cases going on.
Yeah.
Not quite as connected as that, because like they all were connected together. But I guess it was to show, I mean, it says like a harried defense attorney, like to show, what did she say? Like 104, I don't know what the number
170
was.
Something, was it? Yeah, cases, open cases. Yeah,
and just not having time to go from one thing to another. It is kind of showing like this is what it's like for them on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So not everything is going to be connected together. Like the bit with the beginning. What was his name? Tyler. I do almost wonder if that was a bit unnecessary. Like it was more for comic relief. Like it was almost to throw in that Back to the Future reference. Like we have Marty McFly's almanac.
Yeah.
50 years of sports statistics. Hardly recreational reading material, Marty.
Well, hey, Doc, and what's the harm in bringing back a little info on the future? You know, maybe we could place a couple bets.
Marty, I didn't invent the time machine for financial gain. The intent here is to gain a clear perception of humanity. Where we've been, where we're going, the pitfalls and the possibilities, the perils and the promise. Perhaps even an answer to that universal question. Why?
Hey, Doc, I'm all for that. What's wrong with making a few bucks on the side?
Second episode in a row to do a Back to the Future reference. And basically it's like he's betting money to get the bail money. Like is that against the rules or what? Like would Magic approve of that?
Well, in the original series, that was one of the rules. You know, the Leaper will not use, time travel for personal gain. I think that was the gist of it. And
yeah, I think
throwing it out.
Yeah, and I think even Amada pointed that out, but then she said, "Oh, but it's not really personal gain because he's helping this person get his bail money."
That's what I was about to say. Yeah,
well, it's a little loose with the because I'm thinking of what's it in the original series, a leap. The Tale of Two Sweeties or whatever, the leap of whatever it is. He was the bigamist, and Al's like finally like, okay, oh Sam, this is it. We'll just. He's like, you can't use it. He's like, but I need it because otherwise it's going to break my thumbs.
Yeah,
and he's like trying to get the money together.
Yeah,
yeah. What else do you guys have to say about it? Because I would just go. The thing I would focus on mainly is just how it was at the end with Jenn and the experience that she had with. Where the heck am I going with this? I am tired.
Fair enough.
Well, I thought it was interesting that he leaped out before the verdict. You're expecting him to go in the courtroom, and all of a sudden he just leaped. So that was kind of neat. And then they talked about the Innocence Project at the end, which is a real, foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a real thing.
That kind of thing. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, where we saw Jenn really kind of breaking down, crying, and like I guess she felt like she made a difference. Like this was, and she's seeing exactly how it is. It's because initially trying to get because Ben wanted to get him out of jail completely because he was going to be in there for life, and it was going to be 30 years, and they brought it down to 10 years, was it?
Yeah.
And then at some point, the deal was made. She's like, he would only be in for like 4 years or something. He's like, Ziggy says that you can leap now. Like if you take this deal, which I found a bit odd too. I'm like, what? Like, but, and then Ben was, and again, another example where Ben's like, that's not good enough. Like, I don't care if this is what Ziggy says, this is what we need to do. So I appreciated that too. but getting back to that with Ziggy, Amada had brought it up too, that what is going on with Ziggy lately? And I had to remind her that, Ziggy didn't always have like the answer either. I felt like a lot of times Ziggy never had the right answer when.
Yeah.
Right. It was always
true.
like, yeah, Ziggy, that's what I remember too. But it does seem odd. Like that whole thing with the leaping out early did seem a bit odd to me because.
Yeah.
But I think another point was brought up. I try not to let podcasts influence too much of what I say, but they made a good point that he leaps out so that Aleda can get her win moment. Because how many times was Sam there in the past? Like in the original show, Sam would always be there to experience these big moments and kind of steal that moment away from the person he leaps into. So maybe that's kind of why they did it that way.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah. It gave the people at the project something, to participate in at the end too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I can see why they did it. Yeah.
Yeah. I never mentioned. Oh, what were you saying?
Oh, I was going to say, you're saying maybe Sam was taking away their win moment, but we don't know what they remember when they come back.
That's true.
Might remember. They might have a memory of it. They might not have been there to physically experience it, but they might still have the sensation or the memory from after the leap. We depending on where you look at in the canon, some people have no idea what happens between the leaps, and then other people do have memories. So
that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a pretty good point. Before I continue, I know we're kind of wrapping up, but I forgot to mention who the writer was. Her name is Romy Loor. It was her first TV writing credit. This is her first ever.
Wow.
Yeah. She's the Fate's Wide Wheel podcast. They interviewed her. I think she's British, but this was like a pretty good first outing, I think.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And directed by Kristin Windell. I don't know who that is. She's probably somebody on the staff or whatever. But sometimes I forget to mention the writer, the director. Figured I'd mention that. I guess the other thing that I wanted to bring up was just Ben's speech to. I got their names mixed up. It's Camillo I don't know. Was it Isaac and Camillo, or is Isaac the name of the actor? Who is it? Oh, Leo, right? Camillo and they were the brothers.
Yeah. So
he's telling
Camillo's the one accused of murder. Yeah.
Right. So Leo was the brother, right? Okay. Right. So and he's there telling Leo that speech about hope, which kind of resonated with me a little bit because he's talking about I don't believe in anything I can't see. Which is kind of how I feel about a lot of things. I am very open-minded, but I'm a visual person who needs to see things. It's hard for me to believe in stuff I don't see, and I like that speech that Ben said about just in terms of how the other senses work, and it was something about playing music with the plants to help them grow and the energy.
Yeah.
And it's something you can't necessarily see, but it's something you just feel, and it's just this feeling that so I appreciated that. That kind of spoke to me a little bit. And I think that's it for me. So
I'm always looking for the time period music, and there were only 2 songs, and they were back to back. In the apartment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was hoping for a little more. I'm always hoping for a little more spread out throughout the episode, but it was The Night Shift by the Commodores was on.
Okay, that was it. Yeah.
When Ben came into the apartment, and I kind of thought maybe that was implying, it's going to be a long night tonight, studying up trying to find evidence for this case.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. Then they played "Oh Girl" by the G Lights after that, which
which I think
song.
It's from the 70s too. It's not even like the 80s, so. I think so. I looked it up. I'm like, this is like from like the late 70s or something.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought it was from the 80s as well.
But yeah. We didn't mention the fact that it's kind of interesting that he leaped in and he's in this romantic relationship with another woman.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't focus on it much, but like,
right.
That was interesting. And even Jenn was like, "Ooh, I did not see that coming."
Yeah.
So I mean, it's great that they're doing stuff like this, and they don't really focus too heavily on it. It's
exactly
kind of normal.
Yep.
But that was great. That was great too. Yeah. And anything else you guys can think of? Because I think I covered what was in my notes.
The guy that played Barnes did it very well. I hated him.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And
that's so true.
The part perfectly.
Oh yeah.
Smarmy villain.
Yeah, he wasn't necessarily that mustache twirling villain, but he just he was
it
like,
it wasn't over the top, It was just like,
right.
I believe it. So yeah.
I mean, and unfortunately, I guess that really is the way it is in the legal system. That in this country is just so messed up with everything. I think they, for the most part, they pulled off the story pretty well. Like I said, it's like the little part with at the beginning with Tyler. I wasn't sure if that was necessary to the plot, but it was good for a couple of laughs. So, all in all, I did enjoy this episode a lot. I liked it more than I thought I would, because I'm not big into the law genre either. So
right.
Yeah, it was very good. I am tired of the eye roll leap in. That's what I'm calling it, the eye roll, and I don't want it anymore. I want leap effect. Whatever.
We said it kind of grew on us, so now you're getting sick of it, huh?
I'm done. Just do it like it's supposed to be done. Come on.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you too.
Even the one where he leaps out and leaps right back in, they still did the eye roll for the second, for the leap in part of it. I was like, why?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they have been hearing some of the things that we've been saying, the producers, so maybe they'll start changing some stuff up. I don't know. I'm kind of with you there, and just as we're wrapping up, just kind of getting back to what Ahmad was saying, it was like, what is going on with Ziggy? Why won't she talk? She's just on this. I kind of feel like this too. Like we need something soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have it on good authority that Ziggy's not going to talk in this. Sadly.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
I don't see how that. Well, I'm almost wondering if we're not dealing with the real Ziggy. I wonder if this is like some kind of copy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, could be. I want it to talk.
I kind of see why now, because if Ziggy talked all the time, then what's the point of like Ian looking? And if Ziggy can just spat off all this information, then what do we need all those other people for? I guess that's kind of the point to this, but at the same time,
Ian is like the Gushy of this project, right?
Yeah.
So they needed Gushy. He just didn't talk as much as Ziggy in the leap back, for example.
That's true.
Well, I have this. I think it's been implied that Ziggy's going to be pretty important pretty soon, though. So
okay,
like something coming up that I don't know. Well, but that was our review of Ben Song for the Fence. And the next leap is Ben Interrupted. It was originally called just Ben, but now they call it Ben Interrupted.
Well, okay, you caught that too? That was exactly my feeling, right? Yeah, right with the flash of lightning. I was thinking, oh gosh, he's going in for electroshock. Like, here we go.
I think it's going to be a good one. I've heard that's supposed to be like people who know about that, they're like, this is gonna be they're gonna give us something with this one. So
all right,
yeah,
I know a little bit.
Spoiler picture out there, if you haven't seen it, if you don't want to see it,
I know.
I'm not going to say it.
I saw it. I'm not going to say anything.
I'll stay off the internet until next week.
It's on my site, so spoiler alert, it's on a lot of sites.
Yeah, I've seen the picture. So the one person I caught from that is I don't know if you would recognize him, Mike. Did you catch the doctor who's diagnosing him?
Yes, my wife and I both recognized him. I had to look him up and figure out his name, and I've already forgotten it. I'm afraid. I apologize.
His name is Patrick Fitzler. He was in Lost. He was in the season 5 of Lost. And,
yes.
Phil, was that his name? I think.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yep.
We'll talk about it in the next one. But and he was also like the author of Once Upon a Time, which we watched that show a lot. So.
That's right. I knew I'd recognize him, but I couldn't place him. Okay, good.
Yeah, he had a lot of credits, and I think it was only Lost and one episode of Enterprise I recognized him from.
Yeah, he's done a few things. So, he's got that creepiness in his face that's just like, oh, I know this guy. And then I watch it, and I'm like, oh, I know who it is. I'm good with faces. I'm pretty good with like recognizing them. So this should be a good episode. I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, guys, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I guess hopefully we will talk next week at our regular time. Until next time, everyone. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.